2 weeks ago, we celebrated Father's Day, and we got to see who the fathers are here at Holy Family. But I'm wondering, who are the fathers-in-law? Shall we see a show of hands? If you're a father-in-law, raise your hand. Shall we see how many fathers-in-law we have among us? How many fathers-in-law? What about sons-in-law? Do we have anyone who's a son-in-law? Raise your hand if you're a son-in-law. Okay, we have a few son-in-law. What about daughters-in-law? If you're a daughter-in-law, any daughters-in-law? Okay. What about mothers-in-law? Anyone here a mother-in-law? Oh. Now, if there's 4 groups, let's be honest. Fathers, sons, daughters, mothers-in-law. Who gets the worst rap of all of those? Mothers-in-law, right? I'm reminded of the story of the couple who went on vacation in the Holy Land to Jerusalem. This was before all of the events that broke out here recently. They went on vacation to the Holy Land with her mother, who died while they were there. And so they had to discuss their options. What do we do? Imagine going on vacation. And in the case of the gentleman, his mother-in-law passed, and they had to figure out what to do with her. And they were told that they could ship her body back to the United States to be buried here in the United States for some $5,000. Wow. Or that they could bury her in the Holy Land for some $30. What would you do in that situation? $5,000 to be shipped back to the United States, or $30 to be buried in the Holy Land? Well, her daughter, the wife in this instance, said, boy, honey, $5,000 is a lot of money. We didn't anticipate spending this. Rather than sending her body back to the United States, wouldn't it be lovely just to bury her here in the Holy Land? Wouldn't that be kind of cool? And we'll save $4,970 too. To which her husband responded, oh, no. We will pay the $5,000. Because I heard the story of a guy who was buried here in the Holy Land, and I heard what happened to him. He came back to life. And that's what we hear in today's gospel, is the story of Jesus raising a little girl to life. Right? You gotta love that story. How does a little girl had died, and Jesus comes along, and what happens? Talitha kum, he says, little girl, I say to you, arise. And what happened? She arose. She came back to life. Today's scriptures challenge us to ask us, how are we following the footsteps of Jesus? How are we raising others up? How are we giving them life? Because isn't it true that our words can breathe life into people? And our words and actions can also bring death to this world. Maybe not physical death, but they can kill the spirits of other people. By our words and actions, as human beings, we have the potential of doing such great things through our words and actions, and also of creating some pretty evil things. As witnessed by the wars in this world, as witnessed by the drama that we create in life, as witnessed by the ways that we hurt other people with our words and actions. How are we using our words and actions? How are we raising up other people and giving them life, which is what we see in today's gospel? It's because of all of that hurt that human words and actions bring to this world that there's a big need for healing in this world. And that's what I love about today's gospel, is it's 2 stories in one. Did you notice that? Today's gospel is a story of life and raising up a little girl, but it's also a story of healing of a woman who suffered for 12 years. She suffered a hemorrhage. In plain English, she was bleeding for 12 years. Yikes. And Jesus came along, and what happened? Her faith was such that she was healed. So I suspect the first question being, how are we raising up and giving life to others? The second question is, how are we being like Jesus, and how are we helping to bring healing to others, to those around us? Sisters and brothers, what Jesus did in today's gospel was a real act of liberation. As we heard in today's first reading from the Book of Wisdom, God did not create death. It was through the devil that death entered the world. Jesus frees us from sin and death. Now how are we freeing others and healing others? What do we celebrate this Thursday, July the 4th? Independence Day. Isn't that a celebration of freedom? So when I hear today's story of this woman who was freed from her affliction after suffering for 12 years, imagine a cut that wouldn't heal for 12 years. She was freed from that. Praise the Lord. How are we bringing freedom and healing to others as we celebrate this Independence Day, as we celebrate our freedom as a nation? So sisters and brothers, let's let today's scriptures challenge us. St. Paul says in the second letter to the Corinthians that our abundance should help to fill up what's lacking in others. And their abundance should help to fill up what's lacking in us. Imagine the world that we would live in if we were all to live like that. More generously sharing of the good things that we have. Raising up others, giving them life, bringing healing and freedom. Sisters and brothers, as we, independent Catholics, celebrate this Independence Day, the independence of our nation, let's consider how it is that we're bringing freedom to those around us. And nourished by this word and this sacrament, let's go out those doors and be like Jesus, raising up others, bringing them life and healing and freedom.